Glenarmond, invited to choose a student of A-level ancient Greek to go to the Peloponnese for a fortnight, couldn't ignore little me, and I didn't say no. Accompanied by two Eton masters, we luckily had no disasters. They'd hired a 48-seater bus, although there were only 10 of us. Aphia's temple on Aegina and Apollo's temple at Versailles blew me away. So much sky. We gradually learnt to like Retsina and raced at Delphi just for fun. My sandal broke, but I still won. We picked up a Frenchman without any money. He'd overnight in the boot of our bus. Always carefree, incredibly funny, Stefan was soon a part of us. I relished one late night especially, outside in Nauplion, chatting freshly. Until one morning, it was weird, with no goodbyes, he'd disappeared. His vagrancy impressed me deeply. Imagine having no fixed abode, just living freely on the road. I promised myself I'd travel cheaply. Not the ideal I was meant to find. Rebellion was on my mind. It was after a match against my sister Barbie's school, Strathallan, that I first met Gail and wished I'd kissed her. Hitherto a pussycat, following the straight and narrow, I felt the steel of Cupid's arrow. Both of my parents rarely came to watch me play a rugby game. They'd taken Grandpa once, where sadly Ewan at fly half saw fit not to pass the ball one bit, and Grandpa took that very badly. Although I showed some kicking skill, eventually we lost 9-0. That Christmas, Barbie and I threw a party. Strath and Cole on speaking terms. It wasn't especially arty-farty, more about exchanging germs. Gail and I did end up kissing, but it was clear that something was missing. It wasn't long before I'd see she wasn't really attracted to me. Often passion outwits reason. Laughter's over-trumped by tears. I felt aggrieved for several years, till finally there came a season I'd fall in love with another muse. She too would leave me with the blues. Mum and Dad are separating, Barbie tells me. True to form, they're useless at communicating whenever there's a hint of a storm. Mum's finally at the end of a tether. It seems they've only stayed together in order to avoid a fuss, not knowing what to do with us. Every cloud has a silver lining, and this one's not that hard to see. The moment that you've been set free is permanently life-defining. The prospect of a London pad exhilarates me. Why be sad? Flatmate wanted the sooner the better. Gail was needing somewhere to stay, flaunting a goldfish the moment we met her. Although intent on seeing a play, we'd no reservation, were only able to witness Hamlet assemble a table and then dismantle what he'd made. Dismal weather ensured we stayed. The other punters had both defected long before the curtain call that never came. The lights was all. Subsequently, Gail inspected the goldfish that she'd somehow acquired and burst out, "The bastard! It's fucking expired!" We made out on the meadows, slyly losing the others after dark, Claire and I, lying shyly on the grass at the edge of the park. We then maintained complete discretion, so this amounts to my confession. All we did was kiss a bit. 17 seconds, that was it. We weren't exactly touchy-feely, far too coy to even flirt, no doubt afraid of getting hurt. But when alone, we acted freely. I said to Barbie we got lost and kept our secret, fingers crossed. They've told me in Glenarmond's cloister that with an Oxford Classics degree, the whole wide world will be my oyster. I'll be whatever I want to be. Obviously, I know no better. My father presumably signs the letter. Which college can he recommend? But he's dismissive. Yes, why pretend? He was at Cambridge. I'm a traitor. You really couldn't make it up. Perhaps by winning the Calcutta Cup I might have been forgiven later. I opt for new, liking the line, founded in 1379. I browse through all the carefully hoarded ancient history papers, and my use of time is soon rewarded. How did Macedonia stand when Philip II came to power? Comes up often. Half an hour is all it takes for me to cram the relevant map before the exam. And here it is, that very question. Having a mental photograph, I'm very much inclined to laugh. There isn't ever any suggestion I'm a cheat. It knocks the socks off Oxford Don Robin Lane Fox. I didn't want to be a waiter and ended up in Champéry-Valais, a ski lift operator. Soon a telegram came for me. All their dreams had come to fruition. I'd won a bloody exhibition. I scurried away back to my pad. To tell the truth, I felt quite bad. Whenever you only blindly follow a path that others pave for you, instead of making your own way through, your so-called successes will be hollow. Rather end up lost at sea than sacrifice your liberty. Charlie and I go off-piste skiing. Both of us are powder hounds. We find the downhill dance so freeing, our joy and laughter know no bounds. I let my sense of danger weaken, swanning past the last big beacon before the cliff top by mistake. Duncan! Charlie yells. I break. 2 months later, at the gondola station, a power surge sends an empty cabine charging towards me. Although I'm green, I wisely choose capitulation. By chance, the supervisor's here. He credits me for jumping clear. The gondola station gig so boring, I daydream like Rolf in Lord of the Flies. But unlike him, again I'm scoring wonderful goals and brilliant tries. Unrealistic when applying as to how keen I'd be in trying to speak some French amongst unknowns. I hang out with the Anglophones, including 2 sweet English nurses. Rather naively, undoubtedly, I totally cannot understand why one of them wants me to write her some verses. I've locked my libido in a cage. My Swiss sweethearts are underage. The first time that I shagged a lady was August 1981. A hooker, they said, somewhat shady. Nevertheless, she wanted some fun. Even my wife could hardly believe me. Why would a prostitute give me a freebie? We spent the night together, then the following morning did it again. I hadn't rung to warn my mother I wasn't coming home that night, giving her a terrible fright. She rang the police and several other people too, fearing the worst. It wasn't something we'd rehearsed. I started at Oxford that October, playing rugby with Ewan still, the only times I'd see him sober. My best mate was this hippie, Will, who played Bob Dylan and Bob Marley. Weed and hash replaced the barley, and we'd have such tremendous fun, like life had finally begun. Then Will and I moved out of college to Jericho. We spent a lot of time and money smoking pot. Eventually, I'd have to acknowledge I'd never finished my degree and quit in October 83. Magic mushrooms. Wow. I'm 20 with 1 or 2 Glenarman mates in Edinburgh. And there's plenty of hash for when our balloon deflates. I'm really enjoying being lazy. It's all that stress that drives you crazy. I'm sitting cross-legged on the floor, and I couldn't ask for anything more. Now the world's become my oyster. Grief and dread are dead and gone. I stare amazed at Avalon, so rarely mentioned in the cloister. The mystery they fear somehow, living in the here and now. Catch-22 by Joseph Heller looks rather heavy. I'd rather try a collection of essays by Henry Miller called The Cosmological Eye. I like it lots. By far the smartest thing you can do is be an artist. Nothing quite beats freedom of thought. Nobody telling you how you ought to operate. An anarchistic modus vivendi suits me best. But now I face the final test. Am I, in fact, at all artistic? I guess I've known it all along. Poetry, music, romance, and song. Freak out Ethel, need a singer. And tell me that I'm heaven sent, not least because I'm a left-winger. They're going to play at this event, objecting to how the firm Marconi suckers apartheid. Such baloney, my dad informs me. They're doing so well. Forget it, Dad. Please just sell. Embarrassingly, he's been investing blood in my trust fund for 22 years, never dreaming I'd soon have peers who vigorously be protesting against the side he's given support. No doubt it's been a merry sport. London Uni isn't working. It's time to strike out on my own, instead of all this meaningless shirking. I go for busking on trombone. I'm sick to death of dull ambition and hungry for some recognition. Start off in the tube at Waterloo. A bobby's telling me to shoo. I don't know why you people do it, he says, pretending he's perplexed. Perhaps to camouflage he's vexed. How can anyone misconstrue it? Although intended as a snub, I'm now a member of the club. Beth was a goddess. Who could falter? We shacked up on the Isle of Dogs, then hitchhiked from Toulouse to Gibraltar along the coast. My travelogue's a record of how each twilight swims in orange, lemon, purple, crimson. It took us most of March, a slice of luck in fucking paradise. One afternoon she burst my bubble. She'd no desire to accompany me abroad again. Apparently, her curly blonde hair was asking for trouble. She didn't suggest dyeing it brown, just very gently let me down. I'm playing my trombone in a tunnel with well-known tunes from way back when. Doing something mostly for fun'll set me on my feet again, though honestly my life's a muddle. Nobody now for me to cuddle. She's found somebody. He's called Ray. Days without her seem so grey. I've met a poet, Lawrence Bellotti, who's happily taken me under his wing. I listen closely to him sing, despite the fact I'm feeling grotty. I'm disinclined to disapprove. His childlike verses match my groove. Lucky to find somebody gentle. She's amputated both my wings. And feeling rather sentimental, I catch my breath as Lawrence sings, "Don't you see I'm only crying, tears which show that I'm not lying. So don't feel sad for me no more. If I could speak, I'd shout, encore." The cinema's showing Robert De Niro as Noodles in Once Upon a Time in America, utterly sublime. Both soundtrack and the villain hero. There isn't anyone to say I can't go again the following day. The Brits in London were so damn boring. They'd hardly ever move their hands. I found my spirit strangely soaring when mixing with people from distant lands. I met this fascinating creature, an Italian whose name was Nietzsche. A joy to watch her outperform the drama of a thunderstorm. We shared a bed and a squat in Brixton, not exactly paradise, though Nietzsche tried to make it nice. A place where junkies sometimes fixed in. Most significantly, she inspired me to go to Italy. I never dreamt I'd be so lucky as to plant my hand round Mary's tit, but understood that being plucky was why she was enjoying it. She told me sincerely not to worry. We didn't have to stress or hurry. Her boyfriend wasn't any threat, simply somebody she'd forget, so there I was, calmly believing that it was basically a wrap. Her boyfriend, a ridiculous chap who very shortly would be grieving. Instead, she waited far too long. This lover boy did nothing wrong. London to Oxford, Will was driving, but suddenly falls asleep at the wheel. We hit every bollard, somehow surviving. The van won't see another deal. Certainly we've both been smoking, but we're no longer fucking joking. For me, it's like a wake-up call. I might just stick to alcohol. It's on the 19th of December, a miracle that's blessed by fate or destiny, a lucky date I'll always gratefully remember. The day my wife-to-be was born, I'll meet her soon, my rose and thorn. I must have got a guardian angel. All I have to do is wait, and what appears bizarre or strange will carry me off to heaven's gates. I've shaken off that thick schoolmaster who thinks because his eyes dart faster than a rat's, he'll quickly catch anyone pissing on his patch. Finally, I've found my calling, a magic garden, poetry, stretching as far as I can see, no matter if I keep on falling. Days of peace and nights of bliss, may I always remember this.